Hey, welcome back to the Power Rankings. I'm Ryan.
I'm Kelly.
Hi.
We miss you already, MK.
You ready to get into it?
Yeah, this week's episode is sponsored by Jonathan Summers. He's hosting live viewings of OKC Ultimate Footage. Daily happy hour is 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. Hit him up for your next watch party.
This is real. He wants you to show up unannounced to his house, ordering drinks and watching footage.
Okay, so what are we looking at for our power rankings this week?
Yeah, so I've said every week that I think, oh, this was a really hard week. But I do just want to emphasize, I think, how much that every team is capable of beating any other team in the league week by week. Depending on like who shows up, but also just depending on like how the game goes. This is close. You've got my ratings up here right now, I think. Yellow, red, black, white, green, blue. But I struggled with it a lot.
Yeah, you texted me multiple times about this.
But yeah, I am reasonably comfortable with this. And obviously there's a couple of spicy things in there this week. So
Yeah, I think it's pretty contentious, so let's get into it. Starting with yellow.
yeah, man, yellow is such a weird dichotomy of like they look so consistently, frequently like the least pickup leaguey team that we have. When they're cooking, nobody looks out of position on defense. Nobody is making bad decisions on offense.
Except Jerry.
Well, and then like the counterpoint is that also sometimes Jerry looks like the dumbest person who has ever stepped on the field.
Mhm.
He's a good player. Jerry gets ragged on a lot. Jerry is an integral part of this team moving the disc and their incredible defense.
Absolutely. I would still pick a team with Jerry on it on purpose.
So yeah, I mean, I think they have to be up in front. I would love to be ahead of them, but we've gone 0 and 2 against them at this point now.
They were
So
kryptonite.
yeah. So yeah, I think they got to be up there. Particular, obviously, we've got to talk about Jana. I think in our game against Yellow, she scored the last like three goals they had, or three of the last four, something like that, including the universe goal. Obviously, everyone knows Jana. Jana is a very, very tough person to defend. She is very good in the end zone. She's very good throwing the disc when she is forced under. Yeah, she is a problem.
Yeah, yeah, she used to be a goalie. Isn't her granddad like an Olympian?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Played at the Germany Olympics.
yeah, comes by it honestly, but that doesn't make her less of a threat. She also works for it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, other people I want to talk about here. I've been super impressed. I brought up Andy in the past. I think that he is doing an incredible job at getting open and then exclusively throwing throws that he has. Now, when somebody, this is his like third league, I think, so he's no longer like new and he's got some throws. But outside of me hand blocking him, which I can't wait to talk about that segment, I don't think that he had a turnover. Maybe he did because people throw turns and I just missed it or not remembering. But I think generally he is doing exactly what the team needs from him as a cog, and I think you can apply that to most of the team.
Yeah, and I think if Andy is your newest player, that says a lot for you as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Um, any other notable players on this one?
Yeah, so I heard that Joel got injured and came back after pulling something with a couple of minutes left, which is impressive. I was also told by Riley to make sure to mention that Andrea caught a whole bunch of scores this week. She was sick, you liar. Um,
Yeah, I do remember sitting with her heckling games.
yeah.
Okay. I would like to personally apologize to Joe.
Yeah.
I feel like we, in your wise old years, classic yellow, sicked some of the best matchups on you because we kept hyping you up. You're cooking, but I am sorry about all the extra league work you have to do.
Yeah. There is a part where Joe is incredible and Joe is consistently just talked about how incredibly underrated he is.
Mhm.
If everybody knows you're underrated, you're just rated.
Well, we're sorry that you're rated appropriately, Joe, and we're sorry for the role we played in that. Anything else for yellow?
Not nothing immediately comes to mind. Just everyone is playing well. Nobody is making mistakes. I think that if they get David Miller back for playoffs, this team jumps up even further. They beat us without Matt Cray. He
Mhm.
was there. I realized after the game that he wasn't on the field. So that's another very relevant person. Yeah, this team is playing games how you're supposed to be playing games if you want to win. And
Yeah,
all the right
and for
decisions.
being noticeably locked down without two of your higher level, like
Yeah.
especially defensive players. That's pretty great.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. And then next up you have red.
Yeah.
Woo.
Finally in the positive point diff. Let's go.
By one, right?
Yeah, yep, exactly by one. Yeah, so we lost very first game to White in what was a huge feel out the team game. Since then
So
we have beat
very first ever in league,
yeah,
not this week.
yep,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah,
Since then we have beat every single team we have played in every game except Yellow. They have beat
except
us twice. Um, so, I mean, on that regard, we are really cooking. I, in particular, want to talk about how effective Par was this week working the force side unders.
mm,
It is scary to be trapped on the force side. And we had multiple points where he got open right in front of the disc, like, 10 yards up or something on the force side. He caught a flick. He either hit an upline or hit a dump and then did it again and got it off again. And he didn't turn it over in that position. That's a hard spot to be in. We are getting into a bit of a jam it up the jam hole team, but when we need to. But it's working.
yeah. If it's not broke, don't fix it. Par, sorry for stepping on your foot.
Other highlights that I want to talk about here. Isaac came down with basically a full field hammer from ZJ. It was a great hammer. It was a really, really good catch. We both know how hard it is because we both missed hammers
Hammers
from
from
ZJ
ZJ.
this week.
Yeah,
Sorry, bro.
yeah. In my defense, I think one of the ones that I missed was supposed to be for Isaac, and I just didn't get out of the way. Um, Also though, the ZJ hammer to Isaac completion ratio is absurd. I
Yeah,
can't think of a miss. There
yeah.
has to be one because it's hammers.
Isaac is doing
Yeah,
really well.
no,
Yeah.
it's insane. What else do we have for red?
Just Ashley was working really hard this week. That was something that got shouted out in our group chat afterwards. We were talking about highlights. Really putting in all the effort that she could to stick with matchups, defend people, make the undercuts. There were a couple of points I saw out there where we were a little bit handler lackey, where she needed to be super involved, and she was.
Yeah. And a notable shout out always comes from ZJ. So Ashley, ZJ shouted you out. That's got to feel pretty good.
Yeah. And then look, if we're talking about highlights, I am going to shout myself out here. Over the course of our two games, yellow and blue, I hand blocked Andy and then Riley and then Blanche a second time and then Blanche a third time, although admittedly the third one was caught. It was a little bit of a tip drill. I was having some fun.
That sounds equally like a your highlight and a Blanche low light.
Yeah, I went back and forth. It does bring up, okay, so two things here. On the Riley hand block, he was right on his own goal line. ZJ went and knocked it back to complete the D. He could have caught the Cali. It was right there. ZJ just passed up a Callahan. So I don't know what he was doing there.
Oh,
He could
yeah.
have.
I honestly wanted to give a point to the other team. I yelled at him so much from the sideline.
He eventually got the score.
Yeah.
The other thing that I want to bring up here is that after the first one I had, I get the hand block, I throw a blade to Will. He reads it pretty well. It was a tight, thick blade. He caught it. And I hit the bookies towards the sideline. I hit that real hard. And I was talking with, I think, Evan over the hat tournament this weekend, who told me that he does not think a block or a D and then throwing a score counts as bookies.
I believe it was normal.
Was it normal?
Yeah, I
Okay.
think that's the person who has the bad take.
Yeah, I would love to hear. I mean, I understand, like, technically, if you throw the score, you're not bookending the possession. Also, I don't know. It feels like bookies to me. So let me know opinions there. I'm going to keep throwing the bookies up regardless.
Yeah, definitely give us your feedback. Do you think if you throw the assist, is it bookies? Is it not bookies? Anything else for red?
Nothing that I have written down. You can tell that I remember a little bit less this week. Look, I think that we are playing well. I think that we are really kind of taking pride in our mentality of being a super chilly team. And that is working. We have possessions where we swung it in front of the end zone for like 2 or 3 minutes. Occasionally we would turn it mostly against like yellow because they're really good at defending for that long. And probably if we're having to swing it for 2 minutes before we score, that means that the end zone offense is a little bit cloggy. But I think we're taking pride in that, and that will serve us well.
Yeah, so is there a reason that yellow feels like they're our kryptonite?
Yeah, I mean, I think one, they're just the best team here beside us.
They are at number one.
So we're always going to have a harder time against the better teams. I also think that when you have a team like us who is so good at not giving the other team extra chances, right? Like not turning the disc over, a team that also does that is something that we're going to have a harder time taking advantage of. We're beating teams, not even by like necessarily outplaying them when we have the disc or they have the disc, but just by getting more chances to score. Yellow's not really playing into that, so we have to block down a little bit more. But let me be clear, they've beaten us in universe twice now. I'm not worried about running into yellow in the playoffs.
I'll disagree. I think that we are a team that does a really good job creating turns, like defensive turns. And we are getting better and better at valuing the disc, but like errors just happen, like miscommunication errors, execution errors. I've had tons of my own. And I think that like we laugh about it, but Yellow has kind of the same thing. They make plays on defense and they also throw college ultimate turns. And I think that they're just doing it, like you said, less often than
Yeah,
us. But yeah, I don't think that they're valuing it more or we're valuing it more. It's just,
sure.
yeah,
Okay. Regardless, I am excited about our next chance to play them for
that's
sure.
true. That's
We'll
true.
see them once more before playoffs.
All right. Who do we have up next?
Yeah, so next we have Black. I finally moved them up. I've wanted to do this for a while. If we look at the actual rankings of teams, there is sort of a gap between like yellow, red, white, all having like positive win records, positive point differentials, and then black, green, blue in some order all having negative win points or differential, negative point differential. But Black, ever since Coco has come back, has not had an O2 week. Um, and they just look like a team that is clicking when you watch them play, even in their one loss this week against Green. They just all looked like they were doing the things that they wanted to do. They were hitting the throws that they wanted to hit. No one was getting looked off. The swings that should have happened happened. I think this is a team that is on the rise. I understand that having a team that is the bottom of the rankings this high up feels a little weird. I feel good about this team.
All right. Well, we'll see after the next week. I do think that you make good points, and I do think Coco was an important addition. And I also think that Blacks just figured out some synergy. Like this is a team that like not a ton of the players have overlapped. I know there are some like supercell chants, so there is like more of that.
But yeah, no,
Yeah.
surely Abby and Jacob have never played together.
Well, we try not to put them together if we can help it. You mentioned some of the cutting.
Yeah, so the first thing I want to talk about here, I have not shouted out as a highlight just a routine undercut, maybe ever. Trevor, I think, in this game had the world's best undercut. It was like full energy, like he was in like game to go mindset. Just the hardest run he has ever had to catch like a 20-yard completion. I mean, he made it, right? Like it would have been really funny if he dropped that. But watching that from this, and he even mentioned afterwards, like, "Yo, you see how hard I was working on that under?" So he knows. He also made a comment that was like, "Yeah, Abby throws to me now." Um,
That is a big accomplishment. Normally, she just stands with her hands in the air and asks where the cutters are.
right? Yeah. And of course, it's easier to work hard when you know you're getting the disc. On the subject of getting the disc, Kenzie, who floated for Black this week,
Hmm.
played out of her mind. She had a score in the end zone where she skied two people, and it was like a true sky. It was, I think, the best play that I have ever seen her make.
I've never seen someone with such a big grin have such a chip on their shoulder.
Um, we mentioned Coco. I think maybe we haven't, but I do want to talk about him.
I think we've mentioned Coco.
Yeah. Okay. 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 Last week we talked about Coco looking like a pointer when he holds the disc.
The dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was really so he laughed about it when he showed up. Really, really funny to see him catch a disc and then like become visibly very aware of his body the first like three times he had the disc. Eventually he just forgot and he went right back to his old pose.
I want to say maybe in his defense, he was on that like forced sideline a lot, and the only option was to either throw upfield or throw the
I mean,
backhand. So he's holding that backhand post, and he did swing. That
sure,
was the other thing we
sure. You
said.
can hear us in footage joking. I think you verbatim say, "Oh no, we gave him the yips."
Yeah, I did say that. But
It was really funny. He also played really well.
he did play really well. It doesn't matter if he has the yips, he's doing fine.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that Black is clicking. I am really excited to see. I think they have some hard matchups this week, playing yellow. Oh, and then us, super hard. Um, I'm excited to see how they do. Um, yeah. Oh, I also need to talk about the end of the game against Green. They have they're down one with a few seconds left. They throw up a huck that Nathan gets a hand on. I really thought he was going to come down with it and give Green their second heartbreaker of this league. It bounced off, but it was a really good read and a really good up. There were a lot of people around.
Now, how much of that was like Nathan's height and how much of that was him using his height?
Uh, I mean, both, right? Like he's
Well,
tall and he jumped
work.
high. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. Jacob also had some nutty layouts, right?
Oh my goodness, yes. In the game against Green, it was like just when down one with a couple minutes left, has a crazy like full flight bid to get the turn, and then I believe he threw the score. There may have been a swing and then someone else threw the score, but yeah, the layout was just insane.
Now, really important question. Which shoulder did Jacob land
The
on?
left. Yeah,
Always
it was a shoulder. It was a shoulder. It was awesome. It was full flight. It was cool. It was not for perfect.
it was dangerous. It was very dangerous. He's gonna dislocate one of these days. Speaking of green against black, you haven't talked about EJ yet, and I feel like you always talk about
Oh
EJ.
yeah, always, always. So the thing that I really want to talk about here was EJ demonstrating that he could not be disrespected. So a game against Green, Sam goes deep on him, and Jeff sees that and goes, "This is a matchup," and he throws it, and it's super short. He doesn't have to make a play. He just picks the disc out of the air. And for the next like 5 minutes, it seemed like the entirety of Green was trying to prove that that was a fluke and they could get him back. There were like a couple of throws immediately after that that were all in his vicinity that all got D'd. The last there was a hammer to Gavin with EJ on him. I think that actually got past him and just got dropped, but he was there enough to contest it. There was a really sharp blade also to Gavin that EJ ran down and knocked away. This was when Green was on the goal line. Yeah, EJ. I mean, he's been playing well this league, and
Yeah,
I've talked about. I think it is hard to change your reputation. Like you get better quicker than your reputation improves, and you get
true.
worse quicker than people realize.
Yeah.
EJ is better than a lot of people give him credit for. And he has been a relevant part of Black playing well recently.
That's a really good point. I fully agree with that. Anything else for black?
Just ever since I said that Lom needs to be doing more work in the end zone, I feel like I pay attention to him and I feel the need to mention it. He's been doing great. He had the game tying catch actually that crashed him into the wall.
Oh,
It was a really good catch.
I would love to go back and look at footage and see if Lam has actually upped his game or if we just pay attention to it more.
Possible.
Okay, who do you have up next?
Yeah, next I have White. And this is one that could bite me in the butt for sure. Because White has consistently this league, when they win big, and they have been winning as much as anyone, right? I mean, for the most part. Um, I think that White is having the opposite path as we are. So we mentioned at the very beginning of the league that we were going to be a team that grows. Liaz and Keegan both tried out a lot of stuff offensively and defensively. Some stuff worked that we kept, some stuff didn't, and we moved on. I'm sure that White has had some strategies as well. But we have, as a team, grown a ton. I think White started off just because of the frantic pace that they play at, able to just beat teams who were feeling it out. And now that everybody has felt themselves out and their teams are like playing like normal ultimate, it's a lot harder to just run teams down and just like beat them on the turns and yeah, just
Yeah.
beat them in transition. Jimmy last week mentioned that he was annoyed that we called them the deep shot team. And then realized at the end of their first game that they had an end zone offense, like possession, twice the entire game. Just because they're never getting to it. They're throwing it deep or scoring before they get there.
It's hard to take a look in the mirror sometimes.
Yeah. So highlights, lowlights here. We have to talk about Eric and tangentially Normal. Eric dropped a clap catch. I keep saying. And I was like, man, MK, when she said he can't catch, really got to him.
Yeah.
Immediately after that, threw a pass to Normal, who was wide open, and dropped, it hurts me to say it, a wide open double clamp. I swear he did it just because he's trying to prove me wrong over here.
Can do all things through spite.
But yeah, they joke about it, but their synergy is weird. There were a couple of other connections that they didn't hit on. They eventually hit on a few.
Yeah, but there are not many couples who are worse at playing together than Abby and Jacob, and Nermal and Eric might be it.
Yeah, they were just yeah, hilarious misses.
Yeah.
I want to shout out Langford and Marshall. Um, Jimmy shouted you out in particular and wanted me to know that you guys really popped off. So way to impress your captain there. I'm sure there's no familial bias going on here at all.
Yeah, Langford, I can't believe you asked your brother to give you a shout out.
Marshall did have a really good block from the middle of the field where he just jumped up to knock down a huck. We've talked about Marshall a bunch. Marshall
Yeah.
is quite well.
Marshall is great. Yeah.
Of course, we can't move on from here without talking about the loss of Jackson.
Yeah, Jackson, dog, when we talked about if you wanted to get on the podcast, just like tear your knee, we didn't mean it literally.
Yeah, you could have just asked.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um, yeah, I mean that's going to be rough for them. Jackson provides a constant source of energy, and really good defensive and offensive plays. This is a team that I think is deep enough to survive that. But they're going to need people to step up. In particular, talking about Caleb, the other captain. So Caleb has been around enough now, a year or so, that he's definitely not new. He's gone from, just someone who is learning the game to someone who is a legitimate contributor. You were on his team last year. He was a big part of what you guys did.
Yeah.
I know he sees himself as capable of being the guy on the field. He has been good. If White wants to get back to their like dominating this league, he needs to take that next step. I do not say this to say that he's not playing well. I just say that like he needs to play at that like take over the game level, I think.
Yeah, and in the same vein, you just talked about how sometimes it's hard to change like your identity within the community.
Yeah,
So the team also needs to respond to that if he takes
for
that
sure.
step.
Yeah, for sure. I could definitely see White continuing to win games. Like I said, they are very, very good at jumping the gun. They are always going to keep the pedal to the metal. They have great mental game,
Yeah.
right?
Did White have an FMP floater this week?
They had two actually. They were missing both ladies. So yeah, they had Bailey and Natalie, who just moved here along with her person Peyton.
Well, welcome, Natalie and Peyton.
Yeah, we're also a big part of this game. Got to watch them some. They both played well.
Yeah, absolutely. Another person who has the biggest smile and a chip on their shoulder is Bailey. So that tracks. Yeah. Okay. Anything else for White?
I think that's all I got for White.
All right.
I think White is kind of on a precipice. I could see them storming back up these rankings over the next 2 weeks, and I could see them dropping another spot or two if it gets real iffy.
Real iffy?
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, moving on next to Green. First off, I think all of these teams that we just talked about have gone 1-1 this week. So I am sure that there is some kind of matchup where someone beats someone. I don't remember. So Green played, I don't even remember. Green beat somebody and it was, Black, yeah, who's two above them. So I'm sure they'll be annoyed about this. I just think that still Green has all the talent. This is what we've said every week, and I'm still just not seeing them put it together.
Okay.
I was impressed with the utilization of the like depth for this team that didn't have it as much in the past. Gavin had a really good rundown in the corner of a blade from Jet that it was really tight between the disc and the sideline, and he was able to snag it. And just in general, working unders like we have seen him be able to do.
Yeah, we had Gavin on our Sand League
yeah.
team, and that was the first time I'd ever seen what Gavin can do for a team, just because a lot of the stuff that he does goes a little bit unnoticed.
Yeah.
But it's not for like a lack of speed, a lack of throws, lack of energy. It's just like sometimes you're not watching as much from the sideline.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm really excited to see him being utilized.
Yeah. Highlights, we're going to talk about. So Cam had a layout that he was very excited about. He came up to me after the game, and mentioned this layout. I was like, hey, that looked pretty cool, right? I didn't remember it at the time, but I was like, yeah, I'm sure. He mentioned it in the group me that he went back and looked at. And he was like, oh, good. It did look just as cool as I thought. So I went and I watched their footage, trying to, pulling it up. so I could talk about it. Maybe there is a different layout that he was talking about that I missed, but if it's the layout that I'm thinking of, it was the end of the game against Black. It was a good layout. It was a good contest.
Really cool.
He didn't touch the disc. Great
Oh.
highlight, man, but like, you know,
Yeah, so if the Olympics ever has like a layout competition, Cam is a top contender. But until then, you
he
gotta
could do
touch
that
the
on
bits.
the slide. I am I really I think that there may have been another layout that I just missed, and in that case you had two layouts and you got to one of them, and that's even cooler.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
I have also look, I haven't given Cam White flowers here ever. He is putting in as much effort into this league as anybody. He really, really, really wants to win for his team. Um, and you can see the effort on the field.
Yeah, I will never doubt Cam's level of effort or commitment.
Yeah.
I just want his level of execution to match the level of talk.
I that's good.
Sorry, I didn't mean to render
Yeah,
you
yeah.
speechless. It's just, like this is somebody that I do actually believe in, and I think if he could look at himself realistically, he would maximize so much quicker.
I do think that it is always so Cam came here, I think just started playing with OC.
Oh,
And it is
shoot.
hard when you are used to playing in a system
Mm-hmm.
to play League Ultimate. There have been a lot of turnovers that he's thrown that I don't think he missed a throw. I think that he expected his receiver to be somewhere else where he and the receiver both look at each other and they both throw their arms up.
I think that's a really good point. Yeah. And I think we've seen that like throw expect a receiver to be there from EJ and like we talked about
Yeah,
how
yeah,
good of a player he is. So I think that's a good point. Um I would love to see him adapt. I think he's very capable of adapting and I think he wants it so badly. I just want to see that. I
yeah,
want him to get that win.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Other people on here, Cameron Lewis continues to hit the ground just all the time. He just does it for fun.
Yeah, he does it for the scoreboard.
And then we talked about Tiana and
Yeah.
how fast she has been looking recently.
I don't know how rock climbing contributes to someone's on-field speed, but Tiana is just so much faster than she was like even last indoor, but especially at Summer League. And Tiana's never been slow. She's always been like mid to high level, like whatever she needs to be. But I'm having a hard time. Like I have to choose if I take away unders or deeps with Tiana. And sometimes when she's on defense, like I don't get the disc. She's just right there.
Yeah.
And I think I could say the same for a lot of people who are matching up with Tiana. Like she has just kicked it into a different gear. She has more throw options than she did a year ago. And for someone who is like here because she enjoys the people, that's a lot of growth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I am shocked that Green is not intentionally working through their FMPs more
Yeah.
because I don't think any other team has that level of depth. Like Sarah and Tiana are both very, very, very good.
True. And we have historically talked about Green's like handle, not deficiency, but like lower like depth of handles compared. But like we're not taking into account Sarah. Sarah is a perfectly equipped league handle and could be running this system so much more efficiently if they wanted it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's all I've got.
All right. And who do we have next?
So yeah, and last we have blue, and this one does hurt. Like
Oof.
I've said so many times, every team here feels like they could win a game against anyone they play any given week. Blue
Except
was,
blue. Ryan thinks blue is terrible.
Blue was our O2 team this week, and while I don't love, like I've said in the past, basing this off of like past results, they have not had a like statement win where I go like, yeah, okay, like that was a hard fought win. The wins that they've had just it seemed like the flow of the game has gone their way. We do have to talk first and foremost about the watch party they had. We joked about the Summers house at the beginning here. They all met at his place to watch footage.
Yeah, I mean, we saw the photo evidence in
Yeah.
the chat.
Yeah, so vibes are immaculate as far as I can tell from this team, which is good. You all like if the vibes are good, the wins come, right?
That's true. That's true. Unless Blanche is captain.
Oof. I will say there was one notable captain missing from their watch party. He
Yeah.
probably just didn't want to see himself get hand blocked.
Yeah, no, that's true. I wouldn't want to see myself be hand blocked 3 times in a row either.
Speaking of blocks, Duda.
Duda
Yeah, oh my
got a
goodness.
Coach D on ZJ.
Duda got blocks on everybody.
Everyone.
She is like peaking in this league in a way that played with her and matched up with her more than I have. So maybe this is just something that I've missed. This really seems like her playing the best I've ever seen, like peaking it absolutely, as far as the like season is concerned, coming into playoffs at the right time.
I am not going to sell Duda short by saying she's peaking now,
Okay.
but I will say that I met her when she was fresh off of a knee injury. Man, she's only improved since then, and she
Yeah.
is a
Yeah.
freaking menace on the field.
Yeah, I mean, like even in the hat tournament, not to get away from this league, but her team won that, and she was a huge part of it. She looked like one of the best players on the field every time she was on the field.
Yeah, Duda looks like one of the best players on the field, regardless of what
Yeah.
team or field. Yeah.
Um,
What did MK say? She is that bitch. It
dude is
just
that
can,
bitch.
yeah, it
Yeah.
just continues to be true.
But yeah, I think so. I was talking with some of the people on Blue. I probably shouldn't give away my sources. And they think that if they stick to their game, they can have a lot of success. And I was curious what they thought their game was, and they said, "Oh, just like a small ball." And I agree with that. Specifically, not the like run and gun small ball that like White likes to play. But just the like they have so many people on this team who can get open on unders and they have nobody that you're afraid to throw the disc to.
True.
That's what I've said every week. They are a super, super deep team. I still think that they are shockingly successful throwing deep. Um, but they are, I mean, like Justin alone is just impossible to guard in a box.
In a box,
Yeah.
not in the end zone.
Well, you
You
can
know.
only do so much when you're 4 foot tall.
But on that note, he really is like he's utilizing the skills he has. I think
Yeah.
that his deep looks and his under looks have been incredible. I think that he's utilizing the play as Jenna's team really well. I've been super impressed.
Yeah. Um, Only thing I have for this team is that every time we do this, I see Jaden's name pop up and I go like, oh my gosh, yeah, Jaden is on this team. I don't think he was here this week. I think he's missed a couple. That obviously changes a huge amount.
That's fair.
Um,
That's fair. Yeah, but Jaden is also a similar player to Gavin, where like he is a great athlete, a fundamentals player. Like that, there you want that kind of player, especially on a league team, but just on
oh
your
yeah.
team in general. And I think he doesn't always get like the shout outs or the props he deserves. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I think that's all I've got for the teams. Before we move on, I haven't done this before, but I've just got to talk about a low light from pickup. Uh, I promise that it is bad enough. So Evan showed up to pick up on Friday, and had a pull that went 2 yards backwards. If you remember Wii Bowling, you released
Oh,
the A button too late. It was exactly that in result and in like the reason. He said he just forgot to let go.
oh,
It was the funniest thing I've ever seen, and if anybody sees Evan, please make fun of him for that.
Evan, now you have to float this week so that we can give you a pull.
I should
If you end up
clarify.
getting
Not Evan Card, Evan Tinker Evan.
Evan Tinker, Evan, what Monteith?
Monteith, yeah.
Yeah. So Evan, you gotta float.
But make fun of Evan Card for something too. He probably deserves it.
Yeah, he's got some knees. All right. Well, now we have it. Our power rankings for this week: yellow, red, black, white, green, and blue. Really excited. We have 2 more weeks, right? Want to see what you guys bring to the table. This is gonna be
Yeah,
exciting.
real fun. See you next week.
See you out there.